Hello everybody, I am happy to welcome you to a short overview on KNX RF Multi, the next generation radio. My name is Renke Ahlers and I am the product manager responsible for RF products at ISE, working out of the beautiful town of Oldenburg in northern Germany. The presentation will be split in two parts, where I speak about KNX RF Multi at first, before moving to present a few of our products that use the new KNX standard. The media coupler, the Radiator thermostat and the USB interface. Now, let's get right into it as time is short. 20 minutes for presentation slot is a lot shorter than I'm really comfortable with to give you an overview. But here a question to start out with. Is there a use to KNX radio? As I am the guy presenting, you can guess my answer. Of course there is. Here a few examples. As you can see, it really shines if you need to add something to an existing installation. A new winter garden? No problem. Something on the outer wall or an additional switch after moving your bed around the bedroom or into an entirely different one? No problem. There are a lot of additional examples like this I could make in this sector alone, but it is not the only one. In most newly built or to-be-built buildings, you will find areas as well, where radio can be of great use. The radiator in the bathroom, while you have floor heating almost everywhere else, cellar or attic radiators that need to be added, but the owner doesn't want to have an additional cable. Also, you guessed it, no problem. All of this and more can be added without any hassle. But really, do you have any experience with KNX radio? If I pose this question to my audience, I mostly see question marks in the faces of those listening. Why? Because KNX RF itself by now means two things. You have KNX RF Ready, the parent, that has been in use for some time and still often is used. And you have KNX RF Multi, the more talented child, which can be used since the ETS6 hit the market. By now, most of your confusion will have disappeared. Experience at this point in time means KNX RF Ready. So, back to the question. Which experiences have you made, your customers? How would your feedback be if I asked you, what do you think about KNX radio devices? Or what do you think of KNX radio? Let me guess. Not enough products, customers complaining about reach, or likewise problems. Interestingly enough, I can tell you that reach is mostly not the problem, the loss of telegrams is. But how would you know? RF Ready does not send any sort of acknowledgement. You will never know why a device is not reacting, only that it does not. Was it reach? Is the radio channel overused or disrupted in some other way? Frustrating for customer and installer, integrator alike. For the customer, something does not work for whatever reason, he or she won't really care. For the installer, the integrator, as he has to come back time and time again for something that might not even be broken. Simply frustrating. Additional, there's also the tiny fact, which is not really all that tiny, that battery-powered devices have not been available or indeed possible at all with KNX RF Ready. It just uses too much power to be practical. You still need a cable of some sort to power it. So the question often turned out to be, why use it at all? Sadly, the answer often was, or turned out to be, I don't, or one simply does not. This, of course, makes me, as a fan of radio communication, weep in imaginary pain. So, what to do? Easy. Take the great groundwork of RF Ready and build up in it. Make the child surpass the parent, which, as you will agree, at least those of you having children on your own, really is the goal of parents everywhere. Along comes KNX RF Multi, which makes all those annoyances I just spoke about simply go away. No longer will you have to worry about those. It uses multi-channel and fast acknowledgement, making it reliable. You will know if a telegram does not reach the target. The ETS6 will not cease to remind you of the fact. With lower energy, it for the first time really, with KNX, becomes possible to use battery-powered devices. You will no longer need a cable to power every device, or rip out your hair in frustration as you attempt to integrate something not as mode into the project. As you are looking at me, you may have guessed I'm speaking out of personal experience. It becomes easier all around to add KNX radio devices, and you will not have to leave the standard for it. ETS and S mode from start to finish all the way. If you have old projects, you do not want to completely rip out all devices and install new one. That no longer is a problem. Multi allows, as usual with KNX, a full backwards compatibility. Add new devices to an existing installation as you like. Mix and match Radi and Multi, the media coupler with the according proxy will make it possible. The same, of course, already holds true for secure devices. And make no mistake, multi-devices are secure devices that you can also easily add to an installation that does not use secure. Either because the installation in question can't, because of the devices involved, or until now it wasn't intended to be used. There are some of those projects as well. Mix and match parts that are secure with those that are not. The security proxy, also a future feature of the media coupler, will make it possible. At this point, I will allow myself a bit of a personal recommendation. More of an appeal, really. Using radio means, and really should always mean, using secure. Please do so. I strongly, and I mean really strongly recommend it, as it will spare you a lot of problems down the line. Going to the next slide, here just a little showpiece on how a system like I just described it could look like. As you can see, there are both types of KNX radio mixed with twisted pair installation. Everything works together smoothly. With a media coupler as a connecting element, it does not matter what parts are secure or not, Radi or Multi, twisted pair or radio. It will work together as you build, amend or expand the project using the ETS6. And two of the devices shown here, the media coupler and the Radiator thermostat, are devices my company, ISE, already has available or will have soon. Speaking of, let us get to said devices I wish to present to you in the time remaining. As I already told you, most of what you can see on this slide, I will just point at the bold parts and make it short. The media coupler is the connecting element of your installation. It will make possible what you could not do without. And with this one, you will be ready for the future with Multi, even if you are currently only building twisted pair or RF Radi installations. Once that changes, and it likely will, you will be ready to go at once. Another nice use case for the media coupler is the use as a repeater. For example, you have a long corridor with a few radio devices at the end, and you do not want to install a twisted pair line to a halfway point just for a coupler. Understandable, it makes a lot of work, and there's another option. Because this one is easily solved. Just configure a coupler as a repeater and add power over a line already there for a switch or whatever is close by, completely separate from the twisted pair installation. The device remains the same, only the product data loaded into the ETS changes. As already stated, to the coupler it does not matter if you use it without or with radio. It simply brings together what belongs together, what you have and what you will have, and it does it very well indeed. Of course, it also supports segments if you are using the ETS6, making it an all-rounder all the more. If you want to sort or block group addresses, it will be just as possible as completely forbidding access from the RF side, making it even more attractive for areas where you have regular traffic from third parties or outright public spaces. Even if you are still using the ETS5, there are some of you out there, and likely currently listening, I know, you will be able to make a lot out of the device as well. The legacy option allowing for use as a media coupler as you have known it for a long time, feels like forever. This of course will exclude functions such as segments or RF Multi. But once you upgrade the installation, and you likely will, the coupler will already be there, waiting for its chance to really shine. And your customer will all be more happy for one less device that has to be bought anew. At a glance, here a small summary of what I told you in the last few minutes. The media coupler is and remains an all-rounder, making best use of what is already present in the installation or market and combining it easily with what is to come. For all of you that I have managed to interest, here the hard numbers on the coupler, which of course you will also find on the company website. Moving on, here's the next product many of you will be interested in, the Radiator thermostat. Especially in times of high energy prices, as we are currently living in, something that is often sought after and at the same time a request KNX has struggled with for a long time. This ends with this product, a battery-powered S-mode radiator thermostat. A possible use case. You have a building that is protected by law or some other directive and are not allowed to change much of anything about it. Maybe even nothing at all. We have a lot of those in Germany, and I suspect other countries have enough of those as well. Still, heating is required to be smart. Of course, what else? So, how to go about it? Connecting the existing radiators if you are not allowed to draw a twisted pair line. With KNX RF Multi and the coming Radiator thermostat, the solution will be obvious, easily installed, and check all the boxes required. I could also add a lot of additional use cases, but will refrain. And I am sure that you already have half a dozen or more in mind yourself. I will also be available for questions afterwards. So if you wish me to expand on this, just drop the word. Another important function of the thermostat I should mention is the ability to build groups. One device reigns over all the others, reducing them to simple actuators at the same time. This saves time while configuring the project and enhances the battery life of those devices used as actuators. Do you remember the system I showed as an example shortly after starting? Here you go. Use synergies. The media coupler as a connecting element works very well with the Radiator thermostat, weaving it seamlessly into the greater installation. If you of course prefer a small installation, let's call it a tiny island unto itself, you can also go the way of using a USB interface to configure it. That way you would not need a coupler, but of course also not enjoy the multitude of options one represents. Even so, it still is a useful fact to know and implement from time to time. Of course, the thermostat offers a lot more than groups and battery power. You can boost, switch between modes, or configure it at your heart's content. Summer and winter options are just as available as error messages or an internal temperature sensor. At this point, I will again add a little bit of a personal opinion. Use an external sensor like a wall thermostat whenever possible. The position of the common radiator, and because of that the thermostat, more often than not, does not combine well with temperature sensing. Drapes or a couch in front of the radiator or adjusting getting too much sun onto the device might confuse the sensor. So if you can, use something external. Another important feature next to the scenes will be the heartbeat, the in-operation communication object. You will know if your thermostat is no longer reachable over KNX, and not only find out if your room is either hotter than hell or outright frozen over. To prevent this, there is of course also the warning of the battery running low, with more than enough time to exchange the AA batteries before something like this ever happens. You will also not be forced, and some might have this fear, to visit the customer every time a battery runs out. He or she can easily make the switch with the device jumping right back into working order within seconds. And no harm will come to the greater system just because the end customer has a hand in it. If you do not want to add window sensors into the system, there will also be no harm done if you leave the window or your customer leaves the window open for too long. Just toggle the detection of sudden drops in temperature in the ETS and the thermostat will act accordingly. Just like the media coupler, the thermostat is an all-rounder. Where one connects, this one regulates and creates an atmosphere worth living in. And now, for the second time, we have some hard numbers. These are, as already stated, also available on the company website. Which brings us to the last but not least product, the MultiUSB Interface, which of course can also be used with already existing RF ready installations. If you want to configure, check or repair an RF installation, this is what you should use. It is easy to install and just as easy to use, in combination with the other products, a well-rounded set. And now, shortly after the last time, for the first and last time, I give you hard numbers. This product you will be able to order right now, if you wish to, as it has been available for a few months already. This also brings us to the end of my presentation. I hope I could hold your interest as I presented the benefits of KNX RF Multi. Thank you for your attention and